This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Walker, and today I'm going to be talking about how to rank auto repair keywords in a large city. But first, thank you to our friends at RepairPal for providing this episode. RepairPal's certified network of shops are trusted by millions of customers each month. Learn more at repairpal.com/shops. All right, so there is this misconception out there that SEO is SEO is SEO. And that's like saying an oil change is an oil change, and that's all fine until a Bugatti Veyron pulls into your shop. The fact is, it is a lot easier to rank for the term auto repair Fernwood, Mississippi than it is to rank for the term auto repair Houston, Texas. In fact, all you would need to do to rank number one for auto repair Fernwood, Mississippi is to start an auto repair shop, to open an auto repair shop, I should say, in the town of Fernwood, Mississippi, because there's not one, not a single auto repair shop. You don't even need to open an auto repair shop. You could just put up a website saying that you have an auto repair shop in Fernwood, Mississippi, and you would very quickly rank number one for that term. Now, Houston, Texas, on the other hand, it's different. Whereas Fernwood doesn't have a single auto repair shop, Houston, Texas has hundreds, maybe even thousands of auto repair shops. And the more auto repair shops you have inside of a concentrated area, the more difficult it is going to be to rank for terms like auto repair and mechanic near me. And then you have the issue of how serious are your competitors about their SEO? Even if you have a relatively small city that only has 30 auto repair shops in it, 10 of those are going to be listed on page one of the search results. And if you're listening and not watching, I put page one in air quotes because Google now has continuous scrolling in many cases, which it absolutely impacts the way that people search. But how far are people really willing to scroll? But getting back to how seriously people take their SEO. If you're in an area that's saturated with good shop owners who value marketing and they're willing to spend money to see their shop listed at the top of the search results, then your SEO will be harder. So because larger cities have more auto repair shops, and because simple math tells us that the more auto repair shops you have in a city, the more good shops there will be who are willing to spend money on SEO, well, that adds up to a much more difficult situation when trying to rank for auto repair keywords. You can't get around the fact that it's going to be harder to rank an auto repair shop that's located in a high competition area, which is what a large city is. But the SEO basics are still in play. So no matter what tactics you decide to employ, and we're going to get into some tactics here in a minute, but no matter which tactics you decide to employ, you still need to make sure to get the basics in place. And look, this is something that I preach in marketing in general all the time. It's about having the basics in place and having the foundational techniques in place. Especially with SEO, it's so important that you have those basics in place. And here are some of those basics. All right, first, make sure your Google business profile is 100% complete and accurate. All right, next, ask your clients to leave you keyword-rich reviews. I have a blog that I've written about this and another podcast that we've recorded about this, and we're going to put a link to that in the show notes here. But when people put their keywords into the reviews that they leave you, and they're not doing SEO for you, it's just that they're being descriptive. And you know what? I'm going to get into that in a minute here because I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, all right? The next basic thing that you're going to do is to post to your Google business profile regularly, all right? Then you build as many citations, especially niche citations, as possible. I'll explain in a minute. You want to build your website into the most comprehensive, authoritative website that you can on the topic of auto repair within your geographic area. You want to answer your clients' questions in both writing and in video. You want to build high-quality backlinks from geographically significant websites or automotive industry websites. And whether or not doing these things is enough kind of depends on your level of patience, because SEO, it is a game of patience. And you must have patience with SEO, but it's a balancing act because too much patience borders on complacency, and it could be costing you money every day. So what do you do to make things move along faster? Well, simply you do more, and you do higher quality, and you do higher quality together with more. You don't do that independently. So let's look at the basics again, and we'll look at how we might do them different. All right. So I mentioned having your Google business profile 100% complete, but do you have all of the services that you perform listed out on your Google business profile? And do you have a high quality keyword description for each of them? Because there is a place in your Google business profile for you to put this information, and it can make a dramatic impact on how well your Google business profile especially ranks. All right, you have lots of reviews. And this is what I was talking about a minute ago, but are you specifically asking your best clients to be descriptive in their reviews? In the show notes, there's going to be a link to the other podcast that we did on this topic and to the blog post. You should go listen to that podcast, or you should go read the blog post when you're done listening to this. But just the way that this works, and I'm going to touch on it for a second because I think it's so important, okay? Kim and myself and our son Peyton, we were traveling in Key West, and we had been there like 5 years before. We're riding our bike around the town of Key West, and it is a hot day, all right? It is either late July or early August when we're doing this. We're riding our bikes around, and it's like, man, we need to find somewhere where we can get some shade and get something to drink. And 5 years before, when we had been there, we had sat down and ate at this restaurant that had a courtyard. Like the restaurant, the tables were in a courtyard between these buildings, and it had a big canopy of trees over the courtyard. And it was a really awesome place that we remembered, but we didn't know the name of it. And we couldn't remember exactly where it was. So I just pull out my phone and I do a Google search for Key West restaurant with canopy of trees over a courtyard. And it came up, Blue Heaven. And I remember the name now because I've written a blog post about it. I've recorded a podcast about it, so I remember the name, but back then I couldn't remember the name. Well, the very next day, we're wanting to, and look, we're creatures of habit, okay? We find a restaurant that we like or something like that. We tend to go back to it. So the next day we're in Key West again. We're on our bikes again because that's what we do when we go to cool towns like this. And we wanted to grab some lunch. And the time before we had gone to this restaurant where they had a second floor balcony, and it was just a really great restaurant. So I did a search again for Key West restaurant with a second floor balcony. And this time I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the restaurant, but it's in the blog post that I wrote. But that restaurant came up as the first thing. It wasn't that their Google business profile had a description in it, that said that there was a courtyard with a tree canopy covering it, or that this restaurant had a second floor balcony. It was that people had written reviews, and in those reviews, they talked about the courtyard. They talked about the canopy of trees. They talked about roosters walking around. In this other one, they were talking about the second floor balcony. And actually, the first one that came up was a Google business profile, whereas the second one that came up, a TripAdvisor listing for the restaurant, but still, same principle. So when you can get your customers to put details into their reviews, to talk about the neighborhood that they live in, the type of car that they brought you, the service that they had done, the name of the service advisor they worked with. When they put this kind of stuff into the reviews, Google picks up on that. And when somebody is searching for something obscure like I was searching for, this person came in and they had the timing chain guides replaced on their Mercedes, and somebody has written a review on your website talking about how you replaced the timing chain guides in their Mercedes. Well, guess what website, or guess what Google business profile listing comes up when that person is searching? It's yours because that information is in the reviews. Our friends at RepairPal are making today's episode possible. Don't lose work to your competition. Today's consumers check pricing during all stages of the repair process, before, during, and after. Did you know that 81% of them do online price comparisons before making a purchase, and customers that check your price after they've already authorized the work do so after calling the competition? But RepairPal, the largest auto repair network, has a solution. Their Fair Price Estimator tool can be put on your website to help you build trust with consumers up front to demystify price, help educate consumers about what's involved in the repair, bring you higher web traffic, and prevent your customers from calling your competition. You have to be in it to win it, so head on over to repairpal.com/shops and set up a call to learn more about becoming RepairPal certified. When you sign up, you'll get 1 month of service free and save $150 off certification. That's repairpal.com/shops. So are you asking your best clients to be descriptive in their reviews? You should be doing this. And this is especially in these highly competitive areas. this kind of stuff is so important? Do you think that Key West is not important for restaurants? And we're 2 days back to back with 2 different restaurants, and the very first search result item that comes up is exactly what I was looking for because I was able to describe the restaurant. I just couldn't remember the name. All right. You're posting on your Google business profile 2 to 3 times per month, but you could be doing this daily. And it really does make a difference. Most of those posts that you make, they should link back to your website. Now you can link to blog posts, you can link to specials that you've got going on, you can link to service pages, team member bios, just about anything. Google loves their own properties, and Google Business Profile is a Google property. So when you use it, when you post to it, they like it and it helps you to rank. All right, I talked about citations, and I'm just going to give you a reminder of what citations are because a lot of people don't know what citations are. A citation is any reference to your business that is on the internet that has at least the name, address, and phone number. Your Yelp profile is a citation. Your Google Business Profile is a citation. When your business is listed on something like Merchant Circle or Angie's List, that's a citation. Your local Chamber of Commerce, if you're a member of that and your business is listed there, that's going to be a citation. But there are these niche citations like BimmerShops.com and LRShops.com, which is for Land Rover shops. These are directory listings of shops that they work on BMW, and LR Shops is a listing of shops that works on Land Rovers. And they have these for just about every brand of car that's out there. You want to be listed on all of the ones that are for the types of vehicles that you work on. That is a great way to improve your SEO. All right. Your website is great, but is it truly an authority on the topic of auto repair, or is it just an online brochure for your shop and nothing else? Because that's what most auto repair shop websites are. Does it answer the questions that searchers have when they have auto repair needs? Go read the book They Ask, You Answer, and then get to work creating content, but not just any content. The web is full of this generic, crappy content that only answers people's questions at a surface level. You need to go deeper than that. There's a guy named Rand Fishkin. He started a website called Moz, which is MOZ.com. And it's one of the most authoritative websites on the topic of SEO. But Rand, he coined the term 10x content, knowing that search engines are in competition with each other. They're in competition to deliver the best search results to the people who are searching. And the idea behind 10x content is to create content that's 10 times better than the current leading piece of content about a particular topic. And I'll give you an example. If you go do a search for auto repair marketing, you will find the page on my website, The Ultimate Guide to Auto Repair Shop Marketing. When I wrote that, I set out to write the most authoritative piece of content that exists about auto repair shop marketing. And I actually ended up turning it into a book because just the page on my website was 22,000 words and it had no stories or anything into it. So I took that piece that I'd written on my website, added some stories to it, and I created the book, The Ultimate Guide to Auto Repair Shop Marketing. And you can order that on Amazon. You can, get it on Kindle. You can listen to it on Audible. But anyway, my point is if you go do a search for auto repair shop marketing, you're going to find that guide. And we're consistently in spots number 1 through 3. And there are other people that bounce in and out of this first spots number 1 through 3 along with me, but I never leave spots 1 through 3. I'm solidly there because we have absolutely the most authoritative piece of content that exists in the world on the topic of auto repair shop marketing. And you should go read it sometime, but pull up a glass of something to drink and get yourself a snack because it's going to take a while. It is a very long, detailed, authoritative piece on the topic of auto repair marketing. That's the kind of content that you need to be creating. And look, I'm not saying that you need to create 22,000 word articles. We're in the marketing space. So our competition, they've got some pretty good articles about that. When I created my piece, I had to really create something special to be able to beat them. In your case, most auto repair shops, especially the ones that are geographically close to you, they're not creating that great of content. You just need to create something that's much better than what they've created. And look, you can use ChatGPT for coming up with ideas and outlining stuff. If you really know how to use AI, you can actually have it do the writing for you. But you don't want to just go to AI and say, write me an article about the 5 most common problems with Power Stroke diesels, because it's going to write generic garbage. You need to give it your thought leadership. You need to give it all the information and have it write for you based off the information that you give it. Or better yet, you write the content yourself using your own words and inserting your thought leadership. But create that content that is just, it's better than anything else within your geographic area, since you're a local business. It's better than anything else, and you will rank for that. Now, backlinks are also important to SEO, but I'm going to shy away from the backlinks discussion because this is one that people do it wrong all the time, and this can hurt you if it's not done right. And it's just so easy to not do it right. But if you create great content on your website, backlinks will occur naturally, and naturally occurring backlinks are the ones that you really want. That being said, backlinks to your website are one of the most powerful tools that you can employ to rank a website that's in a high competition area. And there is absolutely an art to link building. You can start with an article that was written by SEMrush. If you do a Google search for SEMrush, SEMrush, link building, it will come up, or we'll have the link in the show notes also. But my point is this, with all of this stuff, just about any time that you think that you've done as much as you can when it comes to your SEO, you can probably take things a few steps further. One of the last pieces of the puzzle is to think differently when it comes to the keywords that you're targeting, because it seems like every shop owner we talk to wants to rank for the terms auto repair shop and mechanic near me. And if your shop is a generalist shop, you should want to rank for these keywords. But if your shop is located in a large city, you're in Houston, you're in Atlanta, you're in LA, you're located in a large city or just an otherwise high competition area, you need to think about how you can employ what we call long tail keywords or key phrases. Okay. Long tail keywords are simply longer strings of words that people search for when they're searching for something in more detail or with more specificity. An example of a regular keyword would be auto repair shop, whereas an example of a long tail keyword would be auto repair shop that works on cars with the new Freon. And yes, people like your clients, they don't search for, 1234YF. They search for the new Freon because that's what they know of. So here's some examples of some long tail keywords to get your gears turning. All right. Subaru timing belt replacement near me. Best BMW mechanic in Lower Manhattan. Lighted red dot showing on left side of Jeep Gladiator dashboard. And look, this happened to me, okay? This little red dot shows up on my dashboard of my Gladiator, and I'm like, what the heck is that? It turns out it was a light for the auxiliary battery, but I literally went and Googled lighted red dot showing on left side of Jeep Gladiator dashboard to find the answer. And this is how people search. They search with long tail keywords. Here's some more. Auto repair shops that can work on Teslas that are not dealerships. Mechanics that will come to me. Shops that can fix emission systems and accept state vouchers. Mercedes evaporator core replacement. And there's a million of these long tail keywords that your competitors are not optimizing for because they don't know better or because they're lazy. And optimizing for these keywords can bring you a lot of great business it's easier to sell because the client knows that you do this specific type of repair before they even bring you their car. And it's easier to rank for these keywords because you're almost certainly the only shop in your area that created any content around them. Now, if you have a great content strategy at your shop, you'll be optimizing your website for long tail keywords without even thinking about it. If you employ video in your marketing, you'll make it even easier because those videos can be turned into so many other types of marketing mediums. You take a video and on the most basic level, you transcribe it and put the transcription under the video that's embedded into your blog post. A better case, you can take that transcription and put it into something like ChatGPT and ask it to write an article based on the transcription. Or even better, you get a human to write an article for you based on the video. So there's so much that you can do with this. And when you're doing it, you're creating content that just is full of these long tail keywords. Just because I'm telling you to focus on long tail keywords, I am not telling you to ignore those primary keywords. I want to be very clear about that. Let me say it again. This does not mean to ignore those primary keywords like auto repair shop and mechanic near me. Just because they're harder to rank for does not mean that you shouldn't do the work anyway. It's just that, especially if you have a new shop or a shop that's never done any SEO and you're in a high competition area, it's going to take you 2 years to get to page 1 in some cases for terms like auto repair shop. Especially if the person is not sitting, geographically close to you, you have to work to overcome the shops that have been there. You don't have to just make yours go up in ranking. You have to make yours bypass other shops on the way. And those shops, a lot of them in these larger cities, they've been working to get there and you haven't. So it's like you just got in a drag race and that person is 3/4 of the track down before you even take off. And the chances of you being able to beat them, well, it's very hard to do. And it takes a whole lot of horsepower, which essentially means a whole lot of effort on your part. But you still want to rank for those basic keywords. Now, first of all, when you optimize for the long tail keywords, you'll naturally be optimizing for the primary keywords like auto repair and mechanic. And that's because Google has what they call NLP. That stands for natural language processing. And essentially what it means is that they understand what you're talking about. So they understand that when you're talking about working on a car with 1,2,3,4-YF refrigerant, that essentially you're talking about auto repair. So if a human understands something, there's a good chance that the search engine's artificial intelligence does as well, because they're making this artificial intelligence better and better every day, and they're making it think like a human. I just had somebody that was asking me in our Facebook group. So this was someone who has had a mobile mechanic service for quite a while now, and they just rented their first building. And, they're going from being a mobile shop to being a brick and mortar location. And I told them, put a note on the homepage of your website that if somebody came to your website, they would read it. That tells them you used to be mobile. Now you've got a brick and mortar location. Write a blog post with all the details. Put that on your website, because the search engines crawl your website. The search engine reads your website more than any human ever does. But they crawl your website, and when they read this stuff, they understand what is happening. The artificial intelligence, it is absolutely incredible what is happening with that. It's kind of scary, but it's really incredible. If you go back probably a year and a half ago, I did a podcast about artificial intelligence. And look, I'm not an early adopter when it comes to most things. I am a skeptic. I don't trust things. It has taken me a while to get there with artificial intelligence, but dang, it is getting really, really good. It is so good, it's scary. Anyway, when you employ a long tail keyword strategy, you're actually becoming a better SEO practitioner, and you're going to reap the rewards for it. So what if you're not in a high competition area? And if you're not in a high competition area, you probably didn't listen to this blog post, but I want to say blog post. You probably didn't listen to this podcast. The thing is if you are listening to it, just because you have the luxury that you don't have to do SEO this way, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. Because if you're lazy with your SEO and a new competitor comes into town and they do SEO the way that I'm suggesting, they will overtake you. Like, it's not a matter of if, it's a case of when. But if you employ these strategies when you don't have to, it'll pay off many times over when you later find yourself in a different position where you really do have to. So what do you think? Do you have a better idea now of what it will take to make your shop rank when you're in a high competition area? I hope that you do. I've got a blog post about this very topic on our website if you want to sit down and read it and go through it slowly. shopmarketingpros.com/blog. You can just search for large city and it will come up. There's a little search icon at the top of our website where you can find that. So I want to thank our sponsor again, RepairPal, for providing this episode. They make it so much easier for us to do this. Remember, we are just one of a handful of podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. There's a great new podcast by Craig O'Neill that you really should go check out over there. You got Chris Cotton with the Weekly Blitz. You got Hunt Demarest over there that's talking about business by the numbers. You got Matt Fanslow over there diagnosing the aftermarket. Anyway, some really other great podcasts. Go listen to those. You can find them all at aftermarketradionetwork.com. I hope that you'll listen in again next week. And until then, go fill those bays.
You've been listening to the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast with Kim and Brian Walker. Follow the podcast on your favorite listening app. Find their emails in the show notes and visit them at shopmarketingpros.com. Let Kim and Brian know what you want discussed, because they're all about advancing the aftermarket.